Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Lake, I'd like to stay with you on this point for just the aspect of some clarification for my colleagues on this committee. The first time I was ever charged with running a government agency, I went in and eliminated over 40% of the positions in the department. I did it right away. Basically, McKinsey'd BCG'd the department and eliminated over 40% of the positions. I did that in the face of a great deal of criticism. That sort of change created a lot of discomfort. But what happened was we took a department that was delivering a state that was performing in the bottom half of every economic metric to one that moved very quickly to performing at the very apex of that. Those sorts of transitions, those sorts of rewiring take time, take disruption, but in fact what you can see at the end is a much higher performing entity. So I just want to applaud you for where you actually took the agency and acknowledge the fact that sometimes that movement requires disruption, and it's not always a seamless effort, but it is something that can result in what I think can be a much better product for the American taxpayer. And if I think about what you must have encountered when you took over the U.S. Agency for Global Media, I've got some specific examples of what, this is not what you found, this is what investigators found. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of the Voice of America were being spent to sponsor a cricket team in Afghanistan. They hired journalists who'd previously worked for companies that were tied to the Kremlin. In fact, one of the people that the agency hired as a freelancer was arrested by one of our allies on suspicion of spying for Russia. These are people that taxpayer dollars, American taxpayer dollars, were being used to hire. One of the American employees was convicted of making threatening calls to Republican members of Congress. Last year, the Voice of America's broadcast in Spanish ran a story with the President of the United States image and a swastika impressed on his forehead. That, to me, sounds like an agency that's desperately in need of reform. And I want to thank you for leaning in to stopping the waste, to making certain that American taxpayer dollars are being delivered and used effectively, and getting us back on the right track. Let me get back onto the topic of this, the other topics that concern me, though. Mr. Segura, if I think about your job, your challenges in the Western Hemisphere, they're great. I just think about what's happened with our southern border, countering the narco-terrorist networks there, the big challenge. If I just think about the statistics, the CDC has explained that in 2024 we had over 80,000 deaths due to drug overdoses here in America. Over 48,000 of those from fentanyl. And if I think about the number of